Well, whether it's an earthquake or a fire, it is, of course, important to have an exit plan in mind for an emergency.
So what would you grab if you had just 5 minutes to leave the house? A new survey asked that to Americans of different generations. And here's what each of them said. Baby boomers, they're most likely to reach for jewelry like engagement rings and wedding bands. Gen X would take their family photo albums. Millennials said prescription medications are among their top items. But Generation Z, well, they're a bit split. Half of them would reach for their tech, like a laptop, while the other half would first reach for a pair of shoes. I am like a younger Gen X, and before I even read that, I thought photo albums.
For sure.
For sure.
Computer. Laptop is what I would grab too.
Well, so many of us also have our photos on our laptops and documents. You know, not everybody backs things up. But I would say that I've fallen victim to putting like my photo albums in a bunch of boxes and they're not necessarily all together. I don't know that I'd be able to get it together that quickly, and it's a very good reminder. Also to have like a, you know, a safe or something with the important paperwork, because you know, getting another birth certificate, especially for your children, social security cards, passports, just such a headache if you had to go through that when you're already suffering such an incredible loss.
I'm definitely reaching for my jewelry, sentimental jewelry that has been passed down. I'm just like that. Yeah,
like the newer stuff insured, you wouldn't want to lose it, but it's not the end of the world. It's the sentimental stuff.
It's the sentimental.
As you know, just like the photo albums that we can't ever get back. You can't recreate. And when we were kids, guys, it was not on an iCloud.
That's right.
So if we lose those photos, they are gone.
It needs to be backed up on those. They have those hard drives now. You can keep everything on.
Yeah, I know.
All right, well, many Americans need a refresher on their constitutional rights before heading to the polls this election. A new survey asked people what they know and don't know about their First Amendment rights ahead of Constitution Day next week. It found a very small share of Americans know all of their First Amendment protections. 74% were able to name freedom of speech, but less than half of those people also identified freedom of religion. Just a quarter of those surveyed noted freedom of the press and the right to assembly. And only 11% knew the right to petition the government was in the First Amendment.
I think a common misconception, too, is people will say, like, if their comment gets removed on social media or if they're not able to, like, say something on a platform, that is a violation of their First Amendment rights. But it actually isn't. First Amendment protects you from, like, persecution from the government for speaking out. Private entities like Facebook, whether you like it or not, they can take down your comments. That is not a violation of your freedom of speech.
And, of course, we are very familiar with freedom of the press.
Yes, and one that we hold very dear. So hopefully more Americans will learn that it is indeed in the First Amendment.
I'm Assignment Manager Mark Liu here at the desk. Got some breaking news to tell you about. A house fire extends to some brush in Woodland Hills, KCAL overhead. This is happening near Mulholland and Topanga Canyon. LA City firefighters here. They reportedly had a fire here in this one-story home. Actually, it's a two-story home, but they're describing it as completely vacant. There was no one living there at the time. This structure caught fire and then extended to the brush here near Topanga Canyon and Mulholland Drive. Now you can see firefighters now putting water on both the brush and the buildings. No injuries reported here. They're going to try and keep this from spreading. We don't want another brush fire here in Southern California. It looks like they're getting a pretty good handle on it. And that home, though, is destroyed. Nothing left of it, but it was vacant. So again, no injuries here. They're going to try and figure out a cause after they get that fire out. That is the very latest from the desk. I'll send it back to you.
Now you can get your KCAL news, weather, and live stream all in one place on the CBS News app. Download it free today.